She called the cops and screamed, "Arrest him!" Like I was some kind of outlaw, not just a tired dad standing on his own dirt in work boots that had seen more sunrises than she's seen HOA newsletters. I remember her voice. God, it cut through that chilly morning like a bad siren, shrill enough to make the dog flinch and the chicken scatter. 3 guys in faded hoodies jumped out a mud-splattered truck and stomped up my driveway, looking like they'd been practicing their tough guy faces in the rear view all the way over. But you know what stuck with me? That look on Miss Patterson's face, the head of our glorious HOA, when she waved around that crumpled violation notice like it was the 10 Commandments and announced they were here to demolish unauthorized structures. If I didn't move my livestock pens by sunset, they'd do it for me. Her tone? Pure ownership, like she bought not just the land but the sky itself, and I was just trespassing on her morning. My heart dropped when one of those men, let's call him hoodie number 2, shoved my boy on the porch and laughed. I swear for a second, every ounce of blood in my body went cold. But I kept my hands where she could see them, palms open, slow breathing. "You leave my boy out of this," I said. She just smirked, chin high, and shouted, "This community answers to me." Like committees and 3 signatures could turn a farmer into a tenant overnight, just because she decided the rules changed with her mood. The guys strutted around, taking photos of our fences, rattling off violations, threatening to tear down what I'd built with my own hands. And in that moment, man, it wasn't just fear for my family. It was anger, deep and old, for the land. But I didn't panic. I wiped the sweat and dirt on my jeans, looked Miss Patterson straight in the eye, and said, "You don't get to make my land disappear with lies." It hit her like a slap. You could see the twitch in her neck, pulse jumping. They left after that. One of the thugs spit a warning at the ground. "This isn't over." And as they drove off, dust swirling behind them, 2 things ran through my mind. First, just how close we'd come to losing everything right there on the porch. Second, that the piece of paper Miss Patterson waved around meant nothing compared to what I already had tucked away in my old truck, something she never expected a simple farmer to have. So I strolled back to the truck, acting like I was going for my hammer or maybe a cold Coke, anything but what I was actually after. In the glove box, a thick stack of papers, crisp with county stamps, a new land survey, my deed, and a sworn affidavit I'd filed 2 months earlier after a different fight with the HOA about some utility easement that, surprise, only seemed to benefit them. I kept my voice cool as I walked back to the house, those papers folded neat in my palm. I pressed them against the window for the thugs to see. "Those pins sit on my land," I said, tapping the border lines, showing off the county recorder seal like a badge. Watching their faces change, it was like someone cut the strings on their swagger. Miss Patterson's confidence just drained away, all at once, like water from cracked pipe. That's when I hit the little button under my dash and my phone started streaming. No filter, no edits, direct to a lawyer and a certain sheriff's deputy who, let's just say, owes me a few fishing trips. I wasn't just some stubborn country guy with a shovel. I was a man who'd spent long nights reading every line in the county records, learning all the places the law gets soft and all the ways to shore it up. Miss Patterson tried to laugh it off, tried to grab the papers out of my hand, and started screaming, "Rules are rules." But the stream was live, and she'd just admitted, on camera, that she'd sent those men to make a point. That admission? It hung in the air like thunder. And the guy who shoved my kid? His face went the color of cold grits. Miss Patterson's smirk faltered for the first time. I leaned out the window and said, "You brought muscle to scare a family? Well, congratulations, you just handed me proof." The lawyer on the stream typed, "File now." My sheriff friend's voice came through, low and steady. "We're coming." You could feel the tension snap. And right then, Miss Patterson, God, she made a move so reckless, I almost laughed. She snatched my phone out of my hand and threw it into the dirt hard. "You think you're clever?" she hissed. "This isn't over till I say it's over." The guys behind her shifted, all coiled up, ready for a command. My son, poor kid, stood frozen at the porch door, gripping the old shepherd's collar like that dog was the only thing holding him up. For a split second, I thought we were about to see them rip down the fence right there. Laws be damned. But then, timing like a movie, The low rumble of a county cruiser echoed down the road. Not fast, not frantic, just steady, official, that sound that says things are about to get real. Miss Patterson's fake calm shattered. Shoulders stiffened, jaw set. Sheriff Daniels stepped out, hand resting casual but ready on his belt. "Morning, folks," he said, slow drawl, eyes moving from me to the men, then to the half-bulldozed fence. Didn't say a word. I just pointed at the splintered post and the bulldozer, its wheels sitting halfway over my property line like a drunk neighbor's car. Daniels circled slow, boots crunching the gravel. "Ma'am," he finally asked, "you got a demolition permit for this?" Miss Patterson drew herself up, chin all sharp, and tried to sound calm. "This land is under HOA jurisdiction. He's violating community code 4A. Daniels flipped open his notepad, barely glancing at her. "Funny," he said, "county records say this parcel was excluded from HOA limits 10 years ago." That silence? Best sound I ever heard. The tough guys went slack-jawed. Miss Patterson started to sputter about pending annexation, but Daniels cut her off. "Ma'am, you're trespassing. And if you sent these men here, that's criminal coercion." She tried to open her mouth, but I got there first. "Sheriff, my camera was recording until she smashed it. Footage is already backed up to the cloud." She blanched. Daniel's eyes didn't waver. "Then I suggest you and your crew sit tight while we verify." He pulled out his radio, called for backup. And just when you think the show's over, Miss Patterson makes another desperate mistake. She leans over and whispers something to one of the guys. Next thing you know, hoodie number 3 bolts toward the truck, gravel flying. But Daniels, he's quicker than he looks, lets out one sharp whistle, raises a hand, and like a movie, his deputy's cruiser blocks the exit before the guy even grabs the door. Daniels' voice was steel. "Nobody's leaving until we get the truth." Miss Patterson? She froze, lips trembling, panic in her eyes. The men looked at each other. Whatever she promised them, clearly not worth a ride in the back of a police car. One finally mumbled, "She told us it was legal," as he put his hands up, stepping back. Daniels turned to me. "You got that affidavit handy?" I handed over the folder, watching him flip through the pages, his eyes catching every detail. He closed it, nodded, and said loud and clear, "This man owns every inch of this ground. You, ma'am, have no authority here." Miss Patterson's mouth fell open like a busted gate. "That's not possible. I run this HOA." "Not anymore," Daniels replied. "County's been investigating your board for months. Fake fines, forged notices. You just handed us the last piece we needed." She tried to argue, but her words fell apart as Daniels clicked the cuffs around her wrists, just like that. The tough guys followed, shuffling and quiet. I stood there in the dust, my son hugging our dog, watching the whole parade get led away. No more threats, no more smirks, just silence and the sun setting gold behind the barn. Daniels came back, tipped his hat. "You play that smart, legal, and clean. Folks like her think fear's stronger than the law." "Eu providing wrongi." I nodded, voice low. "Just protecting what's mine. This land's been in my family too long to let someone with a fancy title and a fake sense of power take it away." As the cruisers disappeared down the road and the last bit of sun washed the fields in gold, my boy looked up at me, eyes bright. "Dad, it's over?" I grinned, ruffled his hair. "For us, sure. For them? Buddy, it's just starting." By the end of the week, news had spread like wildfire. The HOA board dissolved, Miss Patterson's name all over the county fraud report. Folks I'd never met dropped by, shaking my hand, calling me the guy who beat the HOA at their own game. I didn't fight with fists or fire. I fought with patience, paperwork, and the best kind of trap, the law itself. And standing there, flag fluttering on the porch, coffee in my hand, I thought, this is what real freedom feels like. Standing your ground, knowing every inch of it is truly yours, and nobody, no matter how loud they scream, can take that away with a lie. Now here's the thing I keep turning over in my mind. Was I right to fight fire with fire, or does that just make the world hotter for the next guy? Where's the line between justice and revenge when it's your name on the deed and your kid in the crosshairs? I want to know, what would you have done? Drop your thoughts down below. Tell me where you're watching from, and if you've ever stared down someone who thought the rules didn't apply to them. And hey, if you're tired of bullies hiding behind paperwork and fancy titles, hit that subscribe. Stick around for the next fight. Because I have a feeling I'm not the only one out here who's tired of losing sleep over someone else's power trip.